Okay, gentlemen, I'm hoping you guys can hear me fairly well with this particular. Are we recording this time? I took this bolt out just a second ago, about 15 seconds ago or so, and I got that much oil out of it, which I should be draining the entire oil thing. I'm hoping I recorded the other part. Shoot. Okay, now gotta get this thing loose. Looks like it's pretty well sealed up, which is a good thing, but not when you don't have any oil in it. All right. Let me think. You have to like rattle tap it on the side to top or something. Get this off. All right. Let me get a block of wood or something. Oh, my hammer. Oh my gosh. Not having oil, that is not good. I'm going to have to put these bolts on a piece of cardboard. Longer than I thought. Yeah, I don't know about whether or not these things are all different sizes or not. You know what? It doesn't matter, I guess. Just punch a bunch of holes in it for each bolt and approximate location of where they go. So you don't have to think about it later. Not too much anyway. and washers on it. Oh, lovely. All right, that's good. All right. So all of them are in the approximate location, the pattern of this. However, I still need to get this flipping thing off. I'm not saving this outside cover, so I'm not as worried about it. All right, there we go. Now it's dumping a little bit of oil. Dumping enough oil for what it's supposed to. All right. Unless there's something clogged, I don't know what would be clogged. This thing is coming out. That's pretty good. Huh. All right. New cover. No scrapes. New gasket. See, that has a gasket there with it. Everything's there. Huh. Anyway, all right. So this should slip in with these two guides. That should go there. There. That should do it. And my glasses are driving me nuts. All right. Oh no. All right. Right position. Let's get the top piece. Top screw to hold that gasket. This again. Oh, yeah. That's there, that's there. I think we do this. Gasket place. Good enough. Okay. Oh Lord, that screw doesn't even go through the thickness of the metal. Doesn't go through thickness. It was just barely in. Need to get a better bolt for that. This didn't have a bolt on it, so cheaper gasket. Okay. So this we would do. Plus. Two points anyway. All right. Well, I'm mildly dissatisfied here. I should be really dissatisfied with the fact that there is no oil in the bike. I've been running it previous to this. I was running it. Granted, I was just going down to wash it every once in a while and start it up to make sure it still runs and all that type of thing. But I'm not very happy with the outcome on that. Anyway. So theory is I'm going to just tighten this up and it's going to cinch right down. Finger tighten all the way around and start tightening it down a little bit. So that it will, doesn't feel like the seated right. I'll be extremely unhappy if this thing isn't good. Give me a bad one or something. But we're still recording, okay. All right. I don't think I don't think I'm gonna get enough off of this to cover my expenses on this. But you know what? We hope. Anyway, down. All right. I'm not thrilled with the overall outcome here. Alright. I think I'm satisfied with that part, with the exception of the screw, which is too short and doesn't actually go into the case. It looks like it's just enough to cover the hole, basically. And it doesn't go in this time. Tighten up. Oh my goodness. Oh, I shouldn't have tightened it together so quick. That one isn't going to go in without the others being loosened now. So let's see if I can get that screw in. Probably not. I have to buy a bolt. That's so crappy. Alright. Let me get a proper bolt for it. Let's just put this back on. Alright. That's two things, and one is oil. I couldn't do the oil right. Didn't put oil in the machine. I had to replace one screw with something else. There's some other stuff on this pipe that isn't done right. And I'll show them to you as I go along. Yeah, I think the mechanic should be just darn happy that I don't actually say what the company name is. Just be darn thankful I don't. Be a big frippin' pain in the ass to deal with. But I live in San Jose, California. There's very few independent shops out here. And if you live in San Jose, you probably know which one it is I'm talking about. Might be a pretty big city, but we have very few decent. Actually, we have very few motorcycle shops that are independent, that aren't like brand name. This like the Suzuki Suzuki you know, distributor that does work on their bikes. But that is not what I'm talking about. One of those brand name places. This is an independent location, and they really did not do things right. I'll show you a couple of things right now, actually. I don't know if you can see them on the camera, but I'm going to put this oil cap thing back on. Oh, I drained the oil last time, and no oil came out when I pulled the plug. So frippin' weird. All right. So they just need to be darn thankful I'm not saying their name out here. But there's only really one shop that I'm familiar with. It's an independent shop, and if you live in San Jose, you know exactly which one I'm talking about. Go to a dealership, do your services and anything. Some things the dealership won't do, like change sprockets, do sprocket changes, things like that. But for most standard stuff, you should be able to do just fine with a dealership. Okay, now let's get this drain hole plugged back in. You should take about 3 quarts of oil to put back in. 3.4 to be exact. So I didn't take the filter out this time. They supposedly changed the filter at the shop recently, so it shouldn't have a problem with how much oil's in the. It's actually 0.2 quarts of oil in the filter portion. Difference between 3.4 and 3.6. Okay. It's gonna have to be later, I guess. Pull this one and really drive the oil better. I'll look at it. But last time that was the drain plug that worked. I don't know why they would have more than one. Now the thing for the filter, take the filter off. I've had the dealership do that. Replace that portion. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the weird things that they've done with the fairing. Because when they adjusted the cams, they had to take the fairing off, which we'll have to do later. But let me show you what some of the stuff that they did. I don't know if it was going to show up on camera or not, but when they put the fairing back on, they have things like this. I don't know if that will show up on camera, but there's a little gap here. Let's see. I don't know if you can see that. There's a gap here, and where they put the fairing, they didn't get it set in correctly. I'll have to show that later when I start to take this part off to get back to the. And there's Let's see. Is this on this side? No, they didn't. They actually got this side of it right. But there's just things that they just didn't take the time. They just shoved it together and didn't really do that great of a job. But anyway, all right. I got that part done. Tomorrow I will be doing the oil and getting the oil put back in and going from there. And I do believe we have to start disassembling it to adjust the cams or the cam chain according to the timing portion there. Anyway, subscribe and push that like button. All right, you have a good day. Okay, I just have a quick add-on thing to add on to this particular cover, aftermarket cover. I was having some difficulty putting in these bolts around the outer edge, but it is an aftermarket product, and I think what they did is they did a 3D scan of the original, which isn't really a problem to do a aftermarket manufactured situation where they 3D print the mold from the 3D scanning. But what happens is when you do it from a cold piece of metal, or the metal that is actually already, or the original part, when you pour the metal, it's hot, and then when it cools down, it shrinks. So you have to add some calculation to calculate the amount of shrinkage of the metal that would occur from when it's molten until it's cooled when you put it into a form. So, and then as it cools, it shrinks down. So this particular bolt hole isn't going to fit. These here, they're kind of offset, but the amount of shrinkage distance, because it's like 5/32 of an inch for every foot, but from the middle to the outer edge, you have a little bit of offset, and same thing for the outside. And this is kind of a circular pattern, so it's not real major distance, but this one is a little bit further out, so the offset of the bolt is a little bit more, so threading doesn't work as well. I could, in theory, for this particular bolt hole, take the entire thing back off and over drill or oversize drill that particular bolt hole a little bit in order to get the bolt to go in and thread in. But I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to leave it as it is. This particular part only covers the starter clutch bolt system in here, and it's not that much oil, plus these other bolts are keeping it pretty tight against the gasket. So I don't think I'm going to stress about that too much right now. The other thing that I was talking about is the oil. It looks like, from what I can tell, on the other side of the bike, see now on the bottom you have a couple of bolts. You can't really see it from this angle, but there's a couple of bolts down there. One bolt is the proper drainage hole, but apparently there's two other bolts for separate draining. However, in the draining process, the secondary bolts that I use to drain the oil, and I got the outer plate off without too much coming out, was it takes it to the lower of the two lines, the low value of the oil. So I'm not even going to add oil at this point. There's no point in that. But the other part that I was talking about, the mechanic, is kind of a pain in the butt deal, is in this front fairing area where they bolted on the outer fairing, they didn't fit it very well. I'm hoping you can see this on the camera. Maybe I need to add a light. But anyway, there's a gap in here There's a space. I don't think I can get the camera to focus on it very well in this. But there's a gap in there and up here, up through this area here. There's a gap where the plastic should have gone all the way in and before they bolted everything down. I am missing a couple of little screws in the front portion up here, but they were missing before, so I'm not too worried about that. But I'm going to have to take all of this front portion off to get to the be able to pull this cam portion or cam cover portion out. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I just wanted to add a little bit of that. See, they weren't totally incompetent, I guess, as far as the amount of oil. Got a lot of cobwebs in there. But the fairing, yeah, they should not have been excessively speedy in doing their fairing mounting. But I'll peel that off and I'll peel it off. I'll unbolt it and fix it. I'm hoping that with proper cleaning of this front windshield that I'm going to lose the yellow portion, and then I don't know what I'm going to do to get it to correct the coloring on that to get it clear, or maybe I'll put something, I don't know, something over it. But yeah, I'll have to take these mirrors off at some point when I need to get to the cams. Anyway, that's about it for the moment. This motorcycle is looking really dirty right now, but that's okay. All right. We'll see you next week. And until then, have a good day.